Welcome to the last lesson of our Module 3 in the MOOC. In this lesson, we want to take a look into the future of the development of human rights. In Europe, the discussion started about the specification or extension of some human rights. Thus, among other things, not only the right of information is demanded expressis verbis, but also the obligation of state authorities on true statements, as this was not always the case in the recent past. The adaptation and development of human rights to the progressive development of humanity is discussed with the most diverse approaches. Well, let's start and let's take a look at this exciting development in our last lesson. Freedom of information and freedom of expression as human rights according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights has now found its way into many regional and national laws and regulations, which we have already addressed in this MOOC. However, human rights continue to develop over time and new human rights are added. The general view is that human rights can be systemized into different generations, which we will be briefly presented here. The first generation of human rights are the classic civil and political human rights, the defensive right against intervention of the state. Second generation rights are not about too much, but about too little state. This includes, above all, social, economic and cultural rights. The right to self-determination, like the right to development and the right to a healthy environment, is the third generation human rights. It is currently being debated whether the right to climate and environment protection and the right of clean waters should be included as a right of all as a fourth generation of human rights. Also interesting are the 6 new human rights for a European Constitution published by Ferdinand von Schirach in his book Every Human Being, which are intended to respond to the major challenges facing humanity today. In addition to the preservation of the environment, restriction on artificial intelligence and globalization, taking into account universal human rights, the following new fundamental rights are now to be mentioned in particular in the next step. Digital self-determination. Everyone has a right to digital self-determination. The exploitation and manipulation of people is prohibited. Truth. Everyone has a right to ensure that statements of public officials correspond to the truth. An example for the past is Colin Powell's misinformation during his speech to the United Nations Security Council on February the 5th of 2003, which led at the time to the justification of the Iraq War. These developments and discussions will certainly gain in importance in the future and also influence the development of new human rights, especially in the age of advancing digitalization and globalization of the world. Rights relating to the deletion of inaccurate data and rights to access of individual citizens will become more and more important. We have now reached the end of this lesson, and after passing the following test, Module 3 is complete. Good luck!